So let's dive right into this explainer for developing the Leader Within You 2.0. We really need to challenge an outdated notion that, honestly, a lot of us still unconsciously hold on to. It's this idea that leadership is just about a title, a rank, or getting that corner office. For decades, the professional world focused so heavily on management fads, completely missing the foundational core of what actually drives an organization forward.
Today we're going to unpack John C. Maxwell's fully revised masterclass to show you how leadership is actually a highly learnable skill. This isn't about some innate, unteachable talent that you're just born with. Maxwell spent over 5 decades observing leaders all over the globe, from corporate boardrooms to local community organizations, and refining his own abilities. And his findings? They're incredibly empowering for anyone willing to put in the work.
Which brings us to a quote that brilliantly illustrates our core thesis today. He who thinketh he leadeth, and hath no one following him, is only taking a walk. It's kind of funny, right? But it's profoundly true. True leadership literally cannot exist without people who are actually willing to follow you.
So here is our roadmap to break down these complex concepts into 4 highly digestible pillars. We are going to cover 1. Redefining leadership as influence. 2. The 5 levels of leadership. 3. Mastering the priority principle. And finally, 4. The mindset of a leader.
All right, let's jump straight into pillar number 1, redefining leadership as influence.
The absolutely crucial point here is that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. If you mistakenly define leadership as just the ability to achieve a position, you're going to spend your whole life chasing titles. But think about it. What happens when you finally get the title and realize no one is actually listening to you? Well, that's because you haven't actually built any influence.
And what's really fascinating here is the reminder that influence itself is completely neutral. The source material points out that history is just filled with leaders who possessed vastly different moral compasses and goals, yet they all shared that one common trait, the ability to obtain followers. So whether you're managing a massive corporate team, organizing a local community event, or just raising a family, your ultimate goal is to cultivate this influence.
Moving right along to pillar number 2, the 5 levels of leadership.
Now, this visual ladder is a total game changer. It takes the abstract idea of leadership and turns it into a tangible, step-by-step framework you can actually climb. It breaks down the stages of influence right from the bottom up. And a really crucial takeaway here is that you don't just magically achieve a level globally with everyone. You're actually on a different level with every single individual person in your life.
Let's take a closer look at the foundation here. You absolutely do not want to get stuck on level 1, relying solely on your job description. At level 1, which is position, people follow you because they have to. They're basically just giving you the bare minimum required effort. When folks follow you just because you sign their paychecks or hold a certain rank, your influence is severely capped. Instead, you've got to graduate to level 2, permission. This is where you start building genuine relationships. At this level, people follow you because they actually want to. You value them as individuals, and the work environment immediately shifts to this higher, far more productive energy.
But hey, you can't just stop at relationships, right? You have to climb higher. To reach the rarefied air of the pinnacle, you must sequentially master getting things done and then reproducing those skills in the people around you. So first, you must master production. You have to lead by example and actually deliver tangible results. Once you've proven you can produce, you move on to people development. You can't effectively develop others until you've walked the walk yourself. This is where you invest heavily in others, putting them in positions to succeed. And if you do this consistently over a lifetime, you just might reach the pinnacle, where you've earned lifelong respect based on exactly who you are and what you represent.
Okay, let's look at pillar number 3, mastering the priority principle. To climb that leadership pyramid effectively, you need fuel. And the secret to working smarter, not harder, really lies in focusing your energy where it actually counts. As a leader, you are constantly going to face a growing list of tasks. You can either agonize over them or you can organize them. Doing the exact same things with greater intensity, that rarely works. You need a proactive strategy.
And that strategy is the famous Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. This dictates that 20% of your priorities will give you a massive 80% of your production. It's wild, but this rule applies to almost everything. 20% of your tasks bring 80% of the value. And even more importantly, the top 20% of the people you lead will make the absolute greatest difference in your organization. You have to aggressively focus your time, energy, and personnel on that top 20% if you really want to maximize your impact. So, you might be wondering, how do you actually identify your specific top 20%? Well, you run your daily tasks through the 3 R's to ensure your time, talent, and energy are perfectly aligned. First up is requirement. Ask yourself, what are the absolute non-negotiables that only you can do? If someone else can do a task 80% as well as you, hand it off, delegate it. Second is return. What activities yield the highest productivity and utilize your absolute best talents? And third is reward. What brings you genuine joy and fulfillment? When what you must do, what you do well, and what you enjoy are in perfect sync, your effectiveness is going to skyrocket.
But listen, to even evaluate those priorities, you need room to breathe. Because work will magically expand to fill the time available. A fun little concept known as Parkinson's Law, you must aggressively protect your white space to prevent burnout and maintain top performance. This is called creating margin. Margin is that crucial space between your load and your limits. It is the exact opposite of overload. If you're constantly running from one appointment to the next, you will literally never have the energy renewal required to be a strategic thinker. You absolutely have to deliberately schedule this time.
This brings us to our fourth and final pillar, the mindset of a leader.
Now, let's look at the personal cost of leadership. One of the most fascinating concepts in this explainer is the idea of positive discontent. Basically, good leaders are never ever satisfied with what is. You must cultivate a whatever-it-takes attitude, where you consistently exceed expectations and relentlessly pursue what could be. The future belongs to people who are just totally dedicated to continually making their world, their teams, and themselves better.
And achieving that kind of growth, that requires immense grit. Thomas Huxley's timeless wisdom perfectly summarizes the ultimate price tag of leadership: unwavering self-discipline. As the quote goes, do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Think about it. You can know all the leadership principles in the world. You can memorize the 5 levels and the 80-20 rule, but without the daily self-discipline to actually execute them, none of it really matters.
Which brings us to a close today. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final, provocative question. Who are you trying to influence today? Seriously, don't just think about leadership as some abstract concept. Look at the real people in your life right now. Ask yourself what level of the leadership ladder you are currently on with each of them, and decide what intentional action you are going to take today to step up. Because remember, leadership isn't just a destination you arrive at. It is a daily journey of earning influence.